load and unload her trunks and recruited 4 strapping lads to carry Munro's coffin. Mrs. McCabe had even acted as Sabella's lady's maid during their travels. All the while, Mr. McCabe carried a fine gold timepiece in his pocket. Clearly, they had no need of her shillings and had taken the job purely out of compassion. He urged her on faster, faster. They were nearly at a run by the time they entered the courtyard. There, the muddy mail coach waited, piled high with a teetering mass of trunks, packages, and passengers. She slowed to catch her breath, trying to determine where she was meant to sit. "Oh dear, it's quite full, isn't it?" A lady and 2 gentlemen sat behind the driver's bench, snug, damp, and miserable. Behind them were canvas bags stuffed full to bursting and 5 valises of varying sizes. Mr. McCabe glanced skyward, then closed the umbrella. "Would you look at that? Rain's stopped." He opened the coach door and urged her forward. "In you go, Miss Lockhart. Dinna mind the smell. You grow accustomed to it." Good heavens, the inside was more crowded than the outside. She apologised to the gentleman on her left before stepping up and wedging herself between the coach's wall and a woman with 3 visible teeth. Mr. McCabe started to close the door. "Wait!" Sabella craned her neck to scan the top of the coach for her trunks, but the load was covered in canvas. "Are you certain the gentleman you hired loaded my belongings?" "Oh, aye," he said, closing the door with a firm shove. "They were the first trunks strapped in place. That's why you didn't see them. They're in the centre, neath all the others." Despite the wheezing pressure on her lungs, she breathed a sigh of relief. "Thank you, Mr. McCabe." She stretched a hand through the carriage window. He tried to return her umbrella, but she shook her head. "There isn't room. Keep it. I've another in my trunks." The driver called out a warning. "All for Glens Canadu, Drumnadrocket and Invermorriston. Departing now." Smiling at the couple who'd been so wondrously kind, she pressed the lace handkerchief into Mrs. McCabe's extended palm. "I wish I could repay the kindness you both have shown me." "Trust me, dearie," the woman said with a pat and a gleam. "You have." The coach rocked into motion. Sabella waved goodbye to the McCabes, then squeezed her arm back inside. Drawing a shallow breath, she nodded to the woman, whose elbow wedged uncomfortably against her side. "Good day." The woman sucked noisily at her 3 teeth. "Nah, 'tis a dreek pisser." Sabella might have tried to translate whatever language she spoke. Gaelic, perhaps, if it weren't for the sudden and overwhelming nausea. She turned her head away. Outside, the air smelled like the back end of 6 overworked horses, infinitely preferable. 3 hours later, she suspected her stays had punctured an organ. Her stomach waged a revolution against her sense of smell. Her bones had jarred loose to rattle about freely like spoons in a soup tureen. And her foul-breathed companion would not stop talking. She couldn't even understand her. At some point the woman had told Sabella her name, but it sounded like throat-clearing after a lung complaint. Privately, she dubbed her Mrs. Foulbreath instead. When Sabella realised Mrs. Foulbreath was speaking English, of a sort, she made an honest effort at comprehension. Some terms remained foreign and garbled. Others, she realised, were vulgarities she encountered too rarely to be familiar. Eventually, she gave up, pasting on a polite smile instead. Sabella was a lowlander. She'd spent her life in Edinburgh, apart from a few years attending schools in England and France. She didn't know what skelp ma dupe meant, and God willing, she wouldn't be in the Highlands long enough to find out. She'd begun with 3 tasks: settle her brother's debts, bury Sergeant Munro, and speak to the MacPhersons before leaving Scotland for good. The first 2 had been hard. The third would be harder. It wouldn't change what her brother had done, of course. Nothing could mend that. But the least she could do was face them. The MacPhersons lived near a remote Highland village nestled at the juncture of 2 mirrored glens, Glens Canadu and Glen Dasheen. Having visited on 2 previous occasions, she'd once found the wooded mountains, shimmering lochs, and wee humble village enchanting. But that was before she knew Kenneth had gone mad, before the nightmare from which she couldn't awaken. The mail coach